Coming up today on This Is True Really News.
Nun Man.
Bombshell new footage.
No, Nun Man.
Why Nun Man?
Because he's coming up on today's show.
Oh, is he really? Nun Man. Well, I've got Bombshell.
Kind of a history thing, but okay.
I've got
Would
new
you
footage.
have a bombshell of what?
Bombshell new footage.
Of Nun Man?
No, of somebody else.
Well, good, because if it's new footage, Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Please like, subscribe, and follow This Is True Really News. Leave comments wherever you see us. And if you have a question, comment, snake, or conundrum, question, comment, sake.
Conundrum or shark? Snark! Now you've got me doing it!
Yes!
You're a vile and evil man.
Question, comment, conundrum, or snark.
Pays me well.
Please send those to TITR@netradio.network.
This is True, Really News with Scott Combs and Tony Vercanis. All the news you're about to hear is true,
Really?
as far as you know.
Shark, shark, shark.
That was Joey's song when we were over Sunday.
Oh, was it?
The shark, baby shark, mama shark.
Oh, boy.
The song that never... And here's Cousin Fred Shark.
Here's Cousin It Shark.
Frank Tavares was born a man. Well, no, he was born a baby boy.
That's true.
In the Dominican Republic, but for 22 years of his life, he lived as Sister Margarita in 2 different convents, posing as one of the nuns there without anyone suspecting a thing. I take issue with that last sentence. I'm pretty sure someone suspected something. The Nun Man, as Frank came to be known following his reveal back in the late 70s, began when he was only 4 years old. There was a serious car accident. It claimed the lives of his parents. His grandparents were too old, poor, and ill-equipped to deal with the child, so he was placed in the care of nuns at a Dominican convent.
Okay.
Frank recalls that as a young boy, let's just say down south was tiny. Very tiny because he was a boy, a little tiny young boy, and they were hard to find. He said even he had trouble finding what he needed sometimes.
Oh, the item of interest.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Which is probably why they took him to the convent and why he was raised as a girl at the convent. He, in fact, wore women's clothes, girls' clothes, adopted the habits of the nuns there.
That's
they don't
cute.
even know that they did a funny. And I got a buck says they don't know they did a funny.
I'm buying in with you.
He became fully engaged in the daily activities of his new home. It wasn't until age 7 that he realized he was a man.
Boy.
Sure. But he continued living as a girl to avoid being cast out. The only way he actually found out was at 7. They went to the doctor for a physical and health checkup.
Okay.
And the doctor said, yep, you're a boy. Don't worry. Certain things will catch up as you age. By the time you're a teenager, don't worry about it. So the years passed and, well, let's just say he became more self-aware. Even though he did everything in his power to conceal it. He said, I would never bathe or undress in front of them.
They.
Sister Margarita, no, they're not. It's only one person. Sister Margarita recalled in an interview, I could go for a quick dip. I would go for a quick dip. I'd always wear boxer-style panties, fake my period, and wear oversized dresses. Hey, I do that. Well, not dresses, just oversized.
And faking your period.
And, of course, during his teenage years, he started
The inevitable.
finding out he liked girls. And nuns is girls is.
A lot of them are.
Yep. Apparently, at least one of the other nuns noticed that he wasn't what they thought, and he had to leave that convent because, well, there was the pregnancy thing. So they transfer him to another convent where they say temptation, but it's there, he says, that he met Sylvia, the love of his life. There was the whirlwind romance. There was the pregnancy too. The saga continues.
Boy, this kid's good.
And Sylvia urged him to leave the convent and start a family. But the weight of deception toward the nuns who had been so kind to him was too much to bear, so it's all he knew.
I understand.
come
He
on.
was afraid he would have no place to go and
From
no
the
way to
time you're
support himself.
4.
Yeah.
So in the end, one of the teachers of the convent discovered a letter from Sister Margarita to Sylvia in which the former's true gender was confirmed. If I may be so rude, his cover was blown. In 1979, when Frank's cover became uncovered, he
Less
had no
than covered.
He had no choice but to see. But that's what a real guy would do: never undressed in front of them, never bathed in front of them.
Yep.
As opposed to now, we want to put them in their girls' locker rooms. 1979, when after the cover was, as I said, he had no choice but to leave the convent and start living as a man. So after 22 years of being, or at least posing as a nun, out he goes. Frank is 73 years old.
Oh.
He quickly found a job as a tailor, a trade he still practices today at the tender age of 73. A skill he learned
At the convent.
at the convent. By the way, his love story with Sylvia ended when she left for the U.S. after he decided to end their relationship so he could keep his sanity. He never met his child, but to him, Sylvia is still the love of his life.
Wow.
I don't know. That is so bizarre and sweet that it's just
That is absolutely bonkers.
not so.
Well, let's get on to the Bombshell new footage. This from Patrick Reed. Bombshell new footage of the relay race baton attack that has shocked America.
Oh, is this the one where you see it from behind?
Uh-huh.
But she didn't do it. She was crying and everything on TV when she said she didn't mean to.
What you're tearing apart my story here.
Sorry.
This has ruined the runner's excuse that the mid-race strike was an accident. Alayla Everett claimed her strike was a freak accident, and her baton only struck rival runner Kaylin Tucker after she lost her balance and naturally pumped her arms again. In a tearful TV interview, Everett explained what happened after the runners first crossed into each other's paths and collided. After a couple of times of hitting her with my baton, I got stuck behind her back and the baton rolled up her back. I lost my balance, and when I pumped my arms again, she got hit. I know my intentions, and I would never hit somebody on purpose.
No, you'd hit them on the head.
That's exactly right. New footage has emerged, which Tony has alluded to, which contradicts the runner's argument and paints a rather damning image. The footage taken on the final bend perfectly behind the runner shows Everett. First off, she didn't stumble.
No.
Secondly, she reached out and swung the baton at the other girl's head.
Yep.
Way outside the normal running motion.
I mean, even the Flash doesn't run that weird.
No.
I'm sorry, the movie Flash, not the fun one on TV.
Oh, fun one on TV is kind of fun.
I like him.
Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, so now you know the rest of the story.
See what I would like? She's sitting there with her family all in tears saying how she didn't do it on purpose, and her family's, we know she would never do. Well, now we know she did. So obviously you're either stupid parents, as in wheels spinning but the hamster's dead kind.
Yep.
Or that's another one of my insults. I love that one.
That's a good one.
And you've obviously taught your daughter to take responsibility for her actions. So that's just
Good on you.
bad parenting right there.
Yeah, well, and I'm trying to...
Why don't you just own up to it?
Because she's a high school kid and she
But think
doesn't
about
know
it.
what to
In the
do.
heat of competition, people do stupid things.
I've done stupid things in the heat of competition.
And in any competition at that, I'm guessing this was like a state tournament or a region thing?
It was a state tournament.
So you're running against schools you've run against many times before, probably against other athletes you've run with many times before.
Yep.
And for some reason, you weren't getting past this time and smacko. Just own it.
Stuff happened.
Then it goes away.
Well,
Now
yeah,
it's
all
gonna-
you say is, yeah, I did it. I'm sorry. I'll never do it again.
Now
and
it's gonna hang
apologize to
around.
the girl.
Now it's going to hang around for a while and do
Yep.
just enough to make you look like an idiot.
For a
in
long time.
1995, we're turning the page, okay?
All right.
Literally. In 1995, the Seattle Times reported filmmaker Gary Fialka of Los Angeles, because, I mean, if you're a filmmaker, where else are you going to be? Started a book club with an unconventional schedule. That's British for schedule.
Okay.
Members read the notoriously difficult Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce. And they read it one page at a time. Finishing, mark it down, October 3rd, 2023. Fialka said we do one page at a time, discuss it then for 2 hours. That's why it's taken us 28 years.
I'm not going to wait 28 years to finish a book.
Have you ever finished a book?
I have.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I finished a Spider-Man book just the other day.
That's a comic book, but we got you.
Is the word book in there?
It is.
Okay, then shut up.
It's kind of like graphic novel. Do you read novels? I do. My favorite is Batman Returns. You're welcome, Frank Miller.
Actually, I have read Dune several times. What's that, 700, 800 pages?
On purpose?
Oh, yeah, I loved sci-fi books. I loved them.
I do too, but there are two fantasy sci-fi books I cannot get into.
And they are?
Actually, Dune is both of them, but I also I can't read Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I can't read. You can't get through that.
I just can't get into it.
No, it's
and
impenetrable.
I have friends who read it like every couple of years, and it's like,
something's really wrong with you.
Did your parents drop you on your head? Because that's bad parenting.
That guy describes every leaf on every tree in every corner of the Shire.
In 7 different languages that he all made up.
And he explains how the languages work, too. No!
He's kind of like the Tom Clancy. Although Tom at least doesn't write books that thick. His are only this thick.
Yeah.
With all that minutia. When people ask Fialka what the book club is going to read next, he says nothing. We are never going to read another book. Which I believe is probably the cry of everyone that was in that book club. I'm never reading another book ever. He explained that the book ends with a run-on sentence on page 628, which then continues back on the first page of the text. He said it's a cyclical book. It never ends.
No. No. They're not gonna.
Nope.
Oh, good.
I don't believe so.
Oh, I think there's an opportunity here for them to just do it again.
Well, that might explain why he said we'll read page 3 again next. Since the pandemic, the club met via Zoom, which is one of the few things you can actually replicate on Zoom. It would be a book club, which Fialka says he likes better than in person because I don't have to set up the chairs. Although I got to tell you, now I want to get a glance at Finnegan's Wake.
Oh, man.
I mean, I know of the book.
I know of it. I've never read it.
Never read it.
No.
I have read The Hammer of God like every other year for a long time. But
I've read Robbie Burns' poetry.
Oh, poetry.
This from Ronnie Tucker via KRDO, Colorado Springs.
That's quaint poetry.
So
Roses are red, violets are blue.
shut up, or I kill you.
Close.
I write.
I understood that poem.
I actually write haiku more than anything.
Actually, is it Esselin? E.S. Anthony and Debbie Esselin.
Okay.
Professors.
Okay.
At least he is. I think she is. But they do a thing on that I subscribe to. They do a word of the week. And then there's song of the week, poetry, poem of the week, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Some of the poems I like, he had Poe, the Raven.
Okay.
I'd never read it. I'd only seen it trivialized on The Simpsons.
You've never read. It's not that long.
I know, but I'd never actually read it.
Okay. I had several times.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It sets a stage like not many authors can do.
Right.
I was impressed.
Nevermore, nevermore.
And that's how much poetry I'll be reading after this.
This from Ronnie
Thank
Tucker via KRDO, Colorado Springs. Dateline Seoul, South Korea. South Korean fighter jets accidentally bombed homes during a live fire drill with U.S. forces, injuring more than 24 people.
Well, you bombed them, so...
8 Mk-82 general-purpose bombs were, quote, abnormally dropped, end quote, from 2 KF-16 fighter jets and landed outside the designated firing range at approximately 10:07 a.m. local time, hitting
abnormally dropped.
Hitting civilian infrastructure in, I think it's Pocheon City, northeast of the capital, Seoul.
Sure is.
According to the South Korean Air Force, that is. South Korea.
Who would argue?
Yeah, right. They've got
dropping bombs.
Yeah, and they could abnormally drop one on you. South Korea's defense ministry said initial findings indicated the accident was caused by a pilot inputting incorrect bombing coordinates.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Well, I think he was probably using his cell phone maps feature.
Where is my X?
An image that local media outlets said captured the aftermath of the explosions showed thick smoke billowing into the air in a rural area. At least 29 people, including 14 soldiers, were injured in the accident, according to authorities. But that's it.
No fatalities.
Yep. Among 15 injured civilians, 2 people were seriously wounded. The blasts destroyed 2 residential buildings, part of a church, and a truck.
And
pretty partridge in a pear tree. It's
probably
good,
Danny.
Pretty good for a name, for that kind of inadvertent sort of
abnormal
drop.
Yeah.
The scene of the incident is chaotic, resembling a battlefield, Mayor Baek Young-hyun said in a televised statement. It'd have to be an abnormal battlefield.
No, this would look like a pretty much normal battlefield, I'm guessing.
Who is it? Abby someone. The aircraft were participating in a joint live fire exercise with the South Korean Army and the U.S. military related to the annual joint U.S.-South Korea Freedom Shield military drills. South Korea's military said all live fire training would be suspended until a probe into the incident had concluded. There is apparently no truth to the rumor that the exercises have been renamed Get the Civilians Military Drills.
More like you think you can hit that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think so.
You're gonna have to do this in an abnormal way.
Were any of them 22 and drinking with RAF officers?
They might have been.
Have they ever been to Newbury?
Abnormally dropped. I think I was abnormally dropped as a child.
You were, more than once, yes.
This is true, really news. Send email to TITR@netradio.network.